had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging E.T. in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now, a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of Native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the Sunday night edition of Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. What a weekend. What a day today. You know, hey, Heidi, good to see you. Good evening, Sean in Seattle. Much love from Boulder. Hey, Audrey, good to see you. All right, okay. Same smell. I don't know. Hello, tell Audrey I said hello. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Sally. So, I want to thank UPRN Talk Radio 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans, for allowing me to give you, hey Joni, for allowing me to give you 1 hour on Sunday nights and Tuesday nights from 8:10 to 9:10 p.m. both nights, on Sunday and on Tuesday. I'm glad she said hello. I'm glad Audrey says hello. So, like I said, you know, little opening here. It's just like, you ever get the top feeling that, or whenever shit happens, that it just keeps going and there is no relief in sight. Seems like everything's working out right. Hey, Donna, good to see you. And all of a sudden, everything you touch it breaks. You know, like schlep rock, you know, on the Flintstones, man. You know, but that's what's been going on like the whole month of December. So who knows what's going to happen? My brother says hello to everybody. Um, and he thanks every one of you for the prayers that you give him, and all the good energy. But I'm a good show tonight. So we're going to talk about Santa and Krampus. Okay, it's and since it is around Christmas time, I was just checking out YouTube and TikTok, and they had a bunch of Krampuses, like parades and stuff like that. And I thought it would be a good topic for tonight. And what's going to make it extra special tonight, this show, is that I got my dear friend, Miss C.L. Thomas of the Gateway Podcast, on with me as my co-host tonight. And we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to bring her on, and then we're going to chit-chat for a little bit, and then we'll get into the show. And without further ado, my dear friend, Miss C.L. Thomas.
Hello,
Where you
how
at?
are you?
C.L. I'm doing great. Hello, everybody. Everybody saying hello to you out there, huh?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Heidi says that she's currently in Loveland, Colorado, and they're having a Krampus event, and the Molly Brown House Museum in Denver has an amazing Krampus event every year. That's
Hey,
cool. Mr. Vogel, good to see you.
I just did a
What's
walkthrough
up?
at the Brown House a couple months over the summertime. I got to do a walkthrough there, and there's a lot of paranormal activity coming out of the Molly Brown House. So that's pretty
Care to
amazing.
share?
Um,
Care to share?
I don't want to get into too many details, but I did do a walkthrough there, and it was a lot. There's a lot going on there. So it was like a lot of I guess the one thing I could say, it was a lot of not so much regret, but survival guilt going on in that place.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that, and then there was I think the place was used as something else. I'm not exactly sure, but there was like a lot of different men living there at one time. So I don't know if it was like a halfway house or something else during the turn of the century. I never did find out the real history of it. But when I did the walkthrough, there was quite a few different men coming in and out of the house. So that's what I picked up on.
Well, Heidi says, "Oh my goodness, CL, I have went several times and have had several experiences. How we ended up as well too. Telling you, man, your sisters, you're like soul or star sisters or whatever you want to say. Tell her about your one guest that you're going to be having on from Colorado. That sounds interesting.
From Colorado, oh, Carmel Sullivan, the spirit artist. So she is a real deal. She does a lot of what I do. So when you do spirit art, it's kind of like mediumship when you do readings, but you're so visual that you are able to sketch what you see a lot easier than actually saying what you're seeing, if that makes sense. So what she does is she does large, we call gallery readings in an audience of probably like 100 or more. And she works with another medium, Scott Allen, and he'll do like normal readings where he'll go into the room and pick out people and the spirits that come through, but then they'll flip-flop. So he goes first, and then she'll go, and she'll actually sit there and sketch the person that's coming through. And it just adds a whole different level of evidential mediumship because you're able to present an actual picture of the person of what you're talking about. It's very interesting.
And oh, I forgot to tell everybody that right after my show tonight, don't forget, you're going Don Yazzie, Don't Whistle at Night is on right after me at 9:10 p.m. So when you're done with me and Sayel, it's going to be such a good show that you're going to be all psyched up, all hyped up, go over and watch Dawn's and, you know what I mean? And go watch his and give him a lot of love. And When you're over there, just tell them I sent you, and CL sent you. Okay, what do we got here? Kevin says, I said yes at work drama around females. That came in makes some sense. Things I know is not my drama, though. Heidi goes, Miss Maggie, Molly Brown, has a special place in her heart. Good move for apologizing that, Kevin. You'd be have a lot of women on your ass. That wouldn't be good, you know. But yeah, so after my show tonight, you know, stick around and Mr. Don Yazzie, Don't Whistle at Night, they're going to have their podcast on too. And if I'm not mistaken, see how we talked about that before the show, and he's going to be your guest this Tuesday, correct?
He is, yes, that's correct. That is correct.
Okay,
I have a whole lineup this month.
What's that?
I said I have a whole lineup this month, and he's one of them.
He's a good guest. He's a very good guest. I had him on my show when he first started, and he's a good dude, man. So Tuesday after my show, CL's going to have Mr. Don Yazzie. It's like the trilogy here. Look at the trilogy. You got me, you got CL, and you've got Mr. Don Yazzie. You know what I mean? Come on, think about it, right? You know, we got to hook each other up and, you know, get them going, and have a lot of fun. You know.
Donna Copas, who's in the audience, she's going to be on my show as well to discuss Bigfoot on the 16th. Donna Copas.
Yeah, Donna, you got her. That's my best buddy. He's another best buddy of mine too. Yeah, Donna, you'll love her, man. She talks. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. When you see coming on?
The 16th, and then the 25th, I have Dennis Stone. He's the owner of America Stonehenge. So he's going to come on and talk about winter solstice. And then the first weekend in January, I have a friend of mine here in Las Vegas who's going to talk about her alien encounters. So she hasn't told the story yet in front of anybody, so it's going to be a debut kind of thing. It's going to be real interesting.
That is awesome. So everybody, you got Miss CL's people coming in. So you better write all that down again, and she'll tell you when her next guest will be come on. But Heidi, yeah, you better drive with both hands, especially with Audrey in the car. You know, you don't want to do none of that. You know, I want you to make it home safely. But tonight's topic, CL, Krampus versus Santa, or Santa versus Krampus. Okay, Krampus is a dark demonic counterpart to Saint Nicholas, who evolved into Santa Claus, appearing in the Central European folklore to punish misbehaving children, while Saint Nick rewards the good. They often travel together on December 5th. I can't pronounce that name, Krampus Schnock or whatever, with Saint Nicholas giving with Saint Nicholas giving gifts, and Krampus using bird switches or coal, embodying a holiday, good cop, bad cop. That sounds interesting. A dynamic rooted in pre-Christian myths and modern traditions, including festive parades called, I cannot pronounce that, Krampusalafa, I guess, I'm not sure. And the key differences in roles, Saint Nick is the benevolent figure who brings gifts or coal to children based on their behavior. And Krampus is a horned goat-like demon with cloven hooves, chains, and a birch switch, whose job is to punish, slot, or even carry away naughty children. Crazy. What do you think, Miss CL? What is your opinion on all this?
Well, I could tell you the real story behind all of that, because that's not it.
Okay, great. Please. No. Listen, I'm on Wiki here, all right? I'm on Google AI, all right? So it's all what I'm talking about.
Okay,
go ahead, please. Tell
the real story behind Krampus. Krampus is really not a demon. He became demonized whenever Christianity took over most of Europe. And that's when you start seeing the different, Saint Nicholas comes in and all of a sudden he's a good guy, and Krampus becomes this like demonic figure to punish children, whereas Saint Nick was to award children. But prior to Christianity, before all of Christianity even came about, Krampus' story actually started, he was an elemental that started pre-Christianity in the Alp region, the Bravik, I can never say the word, Bravis area, which is like Romania and Germany, all up through the Alps, all the way through. So it was like Switzerland and France. It was kind of like Appalachian traditional stuff. That's what it was over there. He was an elemental that would come, and his sole purpose was he was a goat figure because of the Green Man, who was also a goat figure that comes from Greece. And he would appear around winter solstice. And the idea was they would parade the streets and everything to chase away the darkness and to bring back the light. That was the whole purpose of it. And that's where you have this tradition of Yoli. That's where Yoli comes from. And so you have this tradition of fires, you have the tradition of Christmas trees, any kind of light that you're bringing into the house, you're celebrating with like harvest, and that's where the whole idea of Christmas even comes from. But when Christianity came into the picture, they had to do away with that. Naturally, they thought this was too scary. We can't deal with the elementals or anything Greek for that matter because they're pagan. And so what they did was they incorporated a lot of the Christmas at the time, a lot of their traditions, such as Yoli, the Yoli tree, and they turned it into this whole drama of St. Nicholas coming into the picture, giving gifts, Christmas trees, this whole idea of like Christ being born, which there's no evidence of that either. That's another symbolism that came from the Yoli tradition of bringing back the light. So it's like a whole thing where Christianity came in and pretty much demonized the whole tradition of what was going on with this figure in order to, kind of move that to the side and bring in Christianity. That was kind of the whole point.
And that's what they did over in Ireland too with St. Patrick. They say St. Patrick chasing the snakes out of Ireland, and and everybody knows it's too damn cold over there for snakes to exist. And what the snakes were the pagans. You know what I mean? The pagans were the ones that were considered the snakes. And
if you follow, I'm sorry, if you follow like the tradition of like the goat man, the green man, traditionally in Yoli you celebrate the green man, and even in early spring, especially if you're into any kind of Wicca or anything like that, they still do this, to where you make an altar. You have the green man up there. He has horns. Bacchus is another figure from Greek that has the horns. And you're celebrating life and the return of life, the sun, that sort of thing, in the middle of wintertime to bring all of that back. So that's where Krampus, the sun, comes out with horns and all of that.
Do you think maybe back then anything that had horns on it was considered bad or evil? Because I have a story to tell you.
Back in pagan times, no.
Yeah.
I think it didn't. Okay. It didn't turn that. It didn't become anything evil until Christianity enters the picture, and all of a sudden you have this satanic figure that embodies the entire. Ironically, he embodies the entire look and feel of Bacchus and the Green Man and all of these other things that the Greeks were using. All of a sudden, it all becomes evil. So it's
so
quite
what you're saying. So what you're saying is, now this is the first time I'm hearing about these other elementals that come from Greece. I never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's actually most of it comes from the Greek folklore.
The Greek, okay. Well, let me tell you a little story that a really good friend of mine who's into the folklore. Do you know how Satan got his horns on his head?
No.
The Christians came in. Do you remember in mythology the guy Pan,
Yes.
the half
Yes.
goat, the half man? Okay, so Christianity came in, and they took the face of Pan, and they drew horns on it.
That's exactly
Half
what I'm
goat.
talking about. Yeah. It happened
Hmm.
with Pan, Bacchus. There's a whole list of them.
Right. Just to scare people, Christian. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, to their point, when they were conquering most of Europe back then, and you got to think of the times, right? There's no TV, there's none of that, and most of these people have their own religions, and especially in the Alps, you think about our own Appalachian people where they have their own traditions and beliefs and things. It was the same with them, and then all of a sudden they had Christianity moving in there, and they're trying to incorporate their beliefs instead. So what are you going to do? You're going to overtake their holiday and just incorporate your own beliefs into it. And that's exactly what they did. And it worked.
Did they have a choice back then? I don't think so. Didn't they come in with armies?
They did. But if you think about it, it's kind of like what's going on now. Just a few years ago, if you would have brought Krampus out anywhere in the public, it would have been frowned upon, right? Now we have movies about it. We have the paranormal crowd putting out books left and right. Everyone's talking about it. So it's already being incorporated back into our society. So I don't think it's that hard to put these ideas into motion if you make it popular or all the trend.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Michael Anthony, good to see you, sir. He says misunderstood rebirth and interpretations. Hello, Michelle. Good to see you. Yeah, I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Knights Templars that worked with Christianity at the time.
I couldn't tell you that.
Okay.
I'm not
I don't know, but I just think that that the pagans, they just got a raw deal from Christianity. You know what I mean? And then the deal over in Ireland, man, over in England, over in Wales. Okay, the pagans fought back. You know what I mean? They still had their own little things, their own little ceremonies or whatever. Okay, and it got to the point where Christianity couldn't break them of their own beliefs. So that's how I believe that Christianity took a little bit of the pagan folklore or the lore of the pagans and put it into the holidays.
It's true. Yes.
Okay.
It's true.
See, I'm no dummy.
Usually, Christmas, I don't care what anyone says, Christmas was a pagan holiday from the get-go. It was traditionally solstice. It was Yoli. And then all of a sudden you have Christianity that came into the picture and they tried to overtake it. So what did they do? They incorporated Christmas trees. They incorporated gift giving, all these different things. You have St. Nicholas, that was supposed to be Krampus, and all of these different elements to it. So there's no denying that it's a pagan holiday.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it the pagans that came up with the Yule logs?
Yes.
I like when a certain bakery here in Pittsburgh makes good Yule logs that I enjoy eating. You know what I mean? But you ever hear of Potomac Bakery?
No.
Potomac Bakery? No, Dormont. But listen, we are at the half-hour mark here, so I'm going to take a little 2.5-minute break, and we'll be back for the second part of the show. How's that sound, Miss CL?
Sounds great.
Awesome. All right, who can we play today? Let's go. We'll go with this one.
The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. Night has come, it's cold and losing my control.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and more. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just love a good ghost story, Eerie Expeditions magazine has something for you. Join our growing community of truth seekers and adventure lovers. Subscribe today at EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com and unlock the secrets of the supernatural. Are you ready? That's EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com, where the extraordinary is just.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the second part of my show, Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. And I got my wonderful, very good, wonderful friend, Miss C.L. Thomas, as my co-host. Much love to you, Cindy Mitch. I want to thank you, PRN Talk Radio, 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans, for allowing me to give you an hour on Sunday nights and on Tuesday nights, from 8:10 p.m. to 9:10 p.m. And I'm so grateful that I got my best friend, one of my best friends, Miss C.L. Thomas, with me, because she's really smart and she knows her Krampus stuff. You know, she does a very good job at researching things, which I'm not. But, I mean, without her, man, I tell you what, this could have been a boring show tonight, I guarantee you. But so, how's Loki?
Oh, he's being bad. You see him
Hey,
holding
Mitch.
a desk. I'm afraid he's going to knock something out like he always does. He has this knack of knocking
There's
out.
Loki.
Yeah. He's bad.
I like the way, I just like the way he stands there and just looks like he's looking at a ghost or something like that.
He
You
does
know
this
what I
all the
mean?
time. I just try to
But
ignore
back
it.
to the, does he? That's kind of hard with a beautiful looking face like that. You know what I mean? Check him out. You know what I mean? He's like gazing you up and down, and he's like, there he goes. He looked in the camera. Look at that. Hey, Mr. Logan, good to see you. So we talked on the first part about Krampus and Santa. Mike, and my question to you is, what is the meaning behind the parades of Krampus? Why do guys do that? Yeah,
So
the parades.
if you've ever seen the real parades, they happen in places like Romania has them, Germany has them, and these are traditional. And the guys come out in these full-fledged, scary-looking costumes with the horns, and they have the bells on, and they clang on like metal drums, and they make a huge noise going through the streets and everything. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to scare away the darkness. That's the whole basis of it. They're trying to scare away all of the evil spirits of the night so that the sun can come back into the picture. That's the whole basis of it. Now, that kind of turns when, during the Middle Ages, when, of course, Christianity had a really strong hold going on in Europe during the Middle Ages. And that's where you see Krampus kind of take on more of a demonic force, and that's by design. So Christianity, when it came in, realized that they couldn't outright do away with the traditions because so many people believed in that. So what they did was they adopted it and came up with their own, such as Saint Nicholas. So all of a sudden, Krampus is, instead of chasing away darkness and spirits of darkness, he became a figure that was to kind of judge if you're good or bad. And that was more of the church trying to control more of morality back then. So that's where you start to see good versus evil in the whole Christmas side of things. You know, where Santa comes in and says, oh, the naughty or bad list or whatever that is. That's where you start seeing that stuff even more. And Krampus kind of took on that figure for a long time. You had St. Nicholas come into the story, and he was the one that was to give all the good gifts and things.
But they say together that they, I read that they traveled together.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
And Krampus together.
Yeah. But that wasn't until like the middle century.
Well, I'm thinking to myself when I'm reading this, I'm thinking, okay, so you got Krampus, who we'll just say demonic for this show, okay? And he's hanging out with Santa Claus, who's a good dude, you know what I mean? And they travel together. What do they do? Go house to house? You know what I mean? Go house to house?
Well, no,
like,
Krampus,
okay,
during the Middle Ages when all of that changed, he was to seek out bad children, and pretty much he would whip them. It became like this whole scary phenomenon where he would whip them, he would like punish them. I think in some stories he would even eat them and things like that. It became something scary, whereas before Christianity came into the picture, he was more of a figure of protection. So
what?
Protection. He was actually a good figure before all of this.
Okay. And his day is December 5th, right? Yeah, that's where they celebrate Krampus. But did you know that December 6th is where they celebrate St. Nicholas?
Back to back. It's not surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sally says, controlling morality through manipulation and lies. Gotta love it. Well, that's back then. That's Christianity Church. Sally knows. She was saying that, you know, about Loki there, saying that he knows that we're talking about Loki. You know, must be in my voice, you know, and then, you know, and you're Loki's mom. So, but I just when I started doing podcasts, okay, I never knew any of this stuff before. You know what I mean? And it just seems like the more I just read or the more I look at, okay, man, we're effed up. You know that? People were effed up in the back, way back then, just to get where we're at right now. You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
I
And, you know, that
mean,
it's still happening. Stuff like this goes on now. It's just, you know, not to talk about politics or anything, but it's nothing new, right? It's you're trying to control the people, and that's kind of how it is. It's been going on for centuries. So it is what it is.
and when it, see, to me, before I even started, I never knew Krampus existed. I'm seriously, I didn't. The only thing I knew was about Santa Claus and St. Nicholas, and that was through that up on the horse top, reindeer paws, jump on Santa Claus. I don't know, man. But
Well,
it's kind of scary. But I like what you said when before Christianity stepped in, that they would parade through the streets to clean out the evil spirits. Now, would they refer that to our Halloween when people get dressed up to scare the spirits away? Is that basically on the same level?
kinda, but this is different in that this was winter solstice. So this was the darkest night of the year. It's the longest night of the year. And so this was their way of trying to kind of celebrate, I guess, and bring back the light. That was kind of the whole point. You're celebrating, trying to get through the darkest night of the year. You don't know if you're going to survive back then through wintertime. You don't know because of your supplies. You don't know, right? It was a big deal back
Mhm.
then. You don't have TV. You don't have electric lights. You're reliant on whatever wood you may have chopped and whatever you harvested. So this was their way of getting through those dark times in the darkest time of the year. And so the whole point of it was you celebrate, such as Bacchus again. You celebrate, you feast with your family, and you try to get through that dark night. And Krampus came in. He was to scare away anything that might deter that. So you got to think about it back then. They had a lot of illnesses. They had, like things like Black Plague was going around. Things that you could die from a common cold back then. Death wasn't too far off. So it was the small things to celebrate in life, and the whole point was to drive that fear away, drive the darkness away, and bring back the light. And that's where you get
So why
this.
do you think? So why do you think when Christianity came in, if Krampus was doing something good for the people, why? I know it's control, but why would the Christians or Christianity come in and want to take that away from people
There were two things.
and make it bad?
One, it wasn't their religion. They wanted them to believe in their Christ, first of all, which back then those people weren't believing that. Just think about it. If you were living in Pittsburgh and you had a different culture come in and conquer everything you had, you're going to try to hold on to anything you have, which is holidays, traditions. I mean, you see that in our culture now. We don't want anyone coming in and taking away our culture, right? That's how it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
If they couldn't do that, what are you going to do? You can transform that figure that's part of that culture, such as Krampus. You're going to transform that to something that might kind of align with your beliefs. And that's exactly what they did. So they didn't do away with Krampus. Instead, they made him the bad figure, and they bring in St. Nicholas. And then they run with that for a while. By the time in the Middle Ages, this was even a bigger deal. But then by the 19th century, Krampus disappears altogether. You don't see him anymore. Even in Europe, all you see Krampus, the parades and things, that was still in like very remote villages throughout like Romania and Germany. You didn't hear about Krampus parades and stuff unless it was a smaller village. reason for that, and it's because by the time the 19th century hit, the Catholic Church deemed Krampus as too demonic for anything. They didn't want him around. So what happened was the culture started kind of doing away with that. You see that in bigger cities. You don't see the Krampus parades and stuff in bigger cities, only in smaller villages.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back, Heidi. I'm glad you made it home safe instead of driving with one hand. I'm glad you made it home. But it's just simply it just boggles my mind that I don't know. It just gets me upset every time I think about it. You know, I guess you really didn't have a choice back then like we do right now. Do you understand what I mean there?
Well, I mean, here's another really good example of this. And, I'm sure there's like terminologies and things like that when this sort of thing happens. But if you take, for example, in voodoo culture, you had slaves that came over from West Africa. They all had their own beliefs. But the Christians, the slaves, holders and things like that in America, they didn't like their voodoo gods. So these people were not allowed to, they did away with it. They weren't allowed to practice their voodoo beliefs or anything like that. So you know what happened? They took the Catholic symbolism, like St. Peter and all of those things, and they started to use those as their own. So all of a sudden, St. Peter becomes, I forget the guy's name, Papa Legba, I think is his name, in voodoo terms. And they still did the same worship, but it was under the Catholic symbolism. So it didn't really go away. It just kind of changed.
So that was the way that the people who practiced voodoo, that's how they got around
right.
the Catholic Church, correct?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a really deep question here. Okay. I think our show tonight was very good, very enlightening. You really opened my eyes tonight, Miss C.L. Thomas.
I hope I'm not too much. I hope people aren't bored with TJ.
Oh God, no, people are not bored. Oh my God, no. Oh no, no. They weren't bored. I sure as hell wasn't bored. I learned a lot. That's why I like to have you on, because you're smart. You know what you're talking about. But I'm going to ask you a very deep question, because we're going to be busy for the rest of the month. But what is the meaning of Christmas to you?
That's tough. So, I don't come from a traditional Christian background. For me, it's more about friends and family. I don't really follow the traditional Christmas, so I don't have Christmas trees or any of that sort of thing. I do Yoli. I do practice Yoli. I have a traditional log, and I'll burn that come winter solstice, which is in a few weeks, and I just spend that time with family and friends, and it's kind of become a time for renewal for me. So what I'll do is I'll sit down and think about the coming year and things I want to accomplish and things I kind of want to sweep out that didn't work so much in 2025, I guess. So
right.
That's
what Yuli's all about, burning the log to get rid of the 2025 and start brand new in 2026.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, best friend, and I grew up with Robert. Man, he was, my gosh, we go back long. He's a good, very, very dear friend of mine. Robert, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Sally said, not even close to bored. I love learning about this stuff. I love it too. How can you be bored? Everybody, how can you be bored? Because you got CL in the house right now talking, and she's smart and she knows her stuff. You can't be bored with that. No. And her voice is so quiet and smooth, It's a relaxing type of voice. And look at them eyes.
I can put you to sleep.
Hey, I can too. You know. But no, I appreciate you when you come on because you know a lot of stuff, and that's why I have you on because sometimes, you know, I just don't have this the mojo and stuff like that, like you do. You got good mojo, and I think it's because Loki sends his energy over to you.
Yeah, it's because of my cat.
But Joni says not bored at all. Very interesting stuff. So another Christmas question for you, my dear. And Heidi appreciates you too. Yeah. See, there's a lot of people out there that really enjoy your shows and being a guest on mine. And Sally says CL's voice is peaceful. It is. Yeah, it is. You know, but one other question about Christmas. Okay. I'm going to throw you on the spot again. Do you believe, just you personally, would you rather give gifts or receive gifts?
You know, I've never really been into the gift giving thing ever.
Hey, Lisa.
That's been my thing, but there's a family that I kind of adopted that I will shop for their kids. And, you know, there's another little girl that I always buy her clothes for and things like that. So, but as far as like gift giving, you know what my friends and I do, none of us do that. We normally just pour money together and go see a really expensive show in Vegas, and then we go to a really expensive dinner. That's how we do it. But
oh, really?
Yeah,
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, there's about 10 of us that will do that, and we don't really do the gift exchange thing though.
Uh-huh. I guess being friends and close friends is the best gift you can give to anybody.
Right,
you know what I mean?
That's what it's about. It's really not about giving.
Right.
And
Heidi says your energy is great, CL.
Thank you, Heidi. I think the gift giving thing didn't really come around because I tried to research that a long time ago. And quite frankly, I didn't see that during when it was Krampus and all of that. I only started seeing that toward the mid-century or Middle Ages with St. Nicholas. And it started in a village where this guy was supposedly leaving gifts. It was like a little itty bitty village, and that guy became the St. Nicholas. So that's the first time I've seen that.
I never heard of that before. Never did.
Trace that toward anything pagan. I don't see that until Christianity came along.
Okay. Appreciate you said that.
Bad tradition, really.
What's that?
About you? It's not a bad tradition, giving gifts and things, but
personally, I'd rather give gifts. Okay, I'd rather give than receive, and because I feel that at my time I have everything that I wanted. Okay. Maybe if someone bought me a box of chocolates or something small, yeah, that would be pretty cool. But with other stuff, I don't believe it. I'd like to see people smile at Christmas time, you know, giving somebody that really desperately needs something and giving it to them. And you know what? It don't have to be a physical thing, you know, just a simple hug, you know, or a Christmas card, you know, saying, hi, I'm thinking about you. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at Christmas. The spirit of giving. That's what it is. You know, Christmas has become so damn commercialized now that it's stupid. It's ridiculous. But you know what, my dear? We are at the witching hour. It's coming on. We've been live for about 50 minutes now. I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. Okay. There you go. That's my boy. Yeah, like pumpkin spice. Give it. Yeah, I'll be giving a lot of pumpkin spice out. You know the deal, everybody.
Don just reminded me I need to go to the store and start stocking up on all the pumpkin spice stuff before it goes away.
Why are you doing that? You just oh my God! I think I'll just come to your house in June or July. You know, the hell with the freaking October, November, and December.
Hey, I'll have it. Stuff. I'll have it in July.
Hey, don't forget, everybody, send it to Sean. Listen, we got Mr. Don Yazzie in the room. Don't Whistle at Night podcast. His podcast is coming on right after mine tonight. So, you know, go over there, say hello, and tell him I sent you. Again, CL, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I truly appreciate your friendship, and I do appreciate your knowledge stuff. And everybody in the comments and in the chat room, and everybody out there in the 160 countries that we broadcast in, everybody have a good night. They took my closing song down, so I just going to end it real quick. You know what I mean? But good night, everybody. And I will definitely see you on Tuesday. Good night.